Welcome to the KIDS podcast, where we always keep it dope and solid. It's your boy, Big Memphis, and as always, I appreciate you for pulling up on me tonight. Tonight, we're going to do another episode of that Kids Therapy, where I take real-life stories sent in by you, and we talk through them. Now, keep in mind, if you want your story featured on a future episode of the KIDS podcast, you can go ahead and send that story into kidspodcasttv@gmail.com. That's kidspodcasttv@gmail.com. Now, tonight, we're going to do it a little bit different. You know, normally, I would pre-read the emails, kind of get an idea of how I'm going to respond, and then do the show. But tonight, in an effort to make it a bit more organic, we're going to read the scenario for the first time live on air. Now, I did kind of skim at it a little bit just to see how long it was, and it is kind of long, so I think we're only going to have time for one session tonight. But based on the title, I think it's going to be a good one. So go ahead, sit back, relax, and let's get into this therapy session. Let's go. All right, the title of this story is I Seduced My Brother's Best Friend Twice, as in two different best friends. Hey, this chick is cold-blooded. All right, so let's get into it. Hey, Memphis, let me start by saying you are super cute. I hope you don't mind me saying that, LOL. Now that that's out of the way, on to more serious matters. My name is Tiffany, and I seduced my brother's best friend, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I feel morally wrong. In order to properly tell this story, I have to back up to when my brother and I were young adults. He and I are only 11 months apart, with me being the oldest. I think some would call that Irish twins, and for much of our lives, we have both ran in the same circles. We are very close, and for the most part, we get along great. In my late teens/early 20s, my brother had a friend named Ethan that he had been cool with since middle school. My brother has always been the athletic type, and Ethan was kind of nerdy, so he didn't come around much when we were younger. My brother spent most of his time playing basketball, football, and soccer with his more athletic friends, but whenever he played video games or needed help with something school-wise, Ethan would come around. As we grew older and entered college, my brother became more focused on his studies, and Ethan eventually became my brother's roommate. I don't know why, but the more I got to know Ethan, the more attractive he became to me, and I started to fantasize about this guy. One day, I dropped by my brother's apartment to take him some groceries, and he wasn't home, but Ethan was there. I had already told myself that if I ever got the opportunity, Ethan was going to get slayed. Well, here was the opportunity, and boy, did Ethan and I have some fun. We snuck around for a couple of months without my brother knowing, but when Ethan randomly told me he loved me, I knew it was time to end things. I liked him a lot, but I definitely wasn't trying to get serious. I didn't know this at the time, but I had taken Ethan's virginity, and poor Ethan was head over heels. I backed off, but when my brother and I stopped hanging out as much, and whenever I came around, Ethan would either disappear or be kind of cold towards me, led my brother to ask him some questions, and I came clean. My brother wasn't really upset, but he did have a conversation with Ethan, and I think Ethan saw this as an opportunity to vent to my brother about me. Eventually, all their conversations were about me, and once Ethan started to get a little reckless with his words, my brother tried to ignore it. But one day, Ethan said something about me that my brother couldn't ignore, and he snapped on Ethan. My brother never told me what Ethan said, but it must have been something terrible because a few short weeks later, Ethan was moving out. Their friendship was over, and we haven't seen Ethan since. After that, my brother and I had a very serious talk where he made me promise that I would never get with any more of his friends. I agreed, and for the next 6 years, I followed all the rules. Well, here we are in our mid-20s, and I'm the one who's in love. God has a wicked sense of humor. Won't he do it? My brother has a friend named Darian, and the man is perfect. My brother and I both recently completed grad school, going into business management, and he's becoming a physical therapist. We decided that we would be roommates until we both were comfortable in our careers. Our parents helped us get a nice home together with a pool and a decent-sized game room, where we pretty much split all the bills. Well, with our house being the quote-unquote fun house, A lot of our friends are always over hanging out. Darian comes around a lot. He has become my brother's closest friend. He's tall, about 6'4". He's kind of heavy set, but well put together. He is brilliant, he's funny, he's a gentleman, he's hardworking, he's successful. I mean, the man can even cook. Did I mention he was perfect? Damn, I see why you found me attractive. Well, it took no time for Darian to grow on me like Ethan did. I was pretty much smitten from the first time we all hung out. Big Memphis, I tried to resist this man. I really tried, but damn, how much can a girl take? Bro, I've been there before, Tiffany, I promise I have. Just being around somebody that's like super attractive and just say all the right things, do all the right things, you know what I mean? They just knock you off your feet. So I can definitely understand. I started to plot, and I thought if I could find a way to make Darian make the first move on me, I would be in the clear. I'm a nice looking girl, picture enclosed. Okay, let's see what you look like. Okay, where's the email? All right, here we go. Okay, I see you, Tiffany. You're very, very cute, very attractive girl. And in this picture, you look professional, you know what I mean? Like you got on a nice blazer, got a nice tone to it. You got your hair done nice, your makeup done nice, and it's not like over the top, you know what I mean? You look like a very professional woman, very beautiful. I mean, I could see it. That's what's up, yo. Thank you for the picture, by the way. I would show everybody, but you know what I mean? I didn't have your permission beforehand, so we'll just leave it right here in the old phone. All right, back to the story. I'm a very nice looking girl and I have a lot going for myself. Most of my brother's friends flirt with me, but I never play into it. But Darian never comes on to me. So I began making sure that I needed to go for a swim whenever he came around so he could see me in my bathing suit, or making sure I was coming out of the shower as an excuse to only wear a towel. Tiffany, you bold. I mean, you are bold. I began to think that Darian was either clueless or just not that interested because none of it worked. So I cranked it up a notch. I started being a little extra touchy-feely, making sure whenever he told a funny joke to gently slap his arm or to accidentally touch his hand if he was leaning on the counter or something. Anytime he was around, I always found things for him to do, like carry the groceries in for me, open up jars for me, or get something off the top shelf. I would strike up conversations about anything and talk to him for as long as I could. I even started a text thread with him on Instagram about fantasy football, pretending that I do nothing about it so he could help me draft my team and set my lineups every week. And it worked. He started flirting back. But one day I came home and Darian was there. My brother had a date that night with a girl Darian hooked him up with, so naturally they were talking and hanging out. I pretended to ignore them, but as I heard the plan for Darian to stick around until after the date so he could hear how it went, I got excited. I tried to time it perfectly so we could have a lot of time together. I showered and waited about 10 minutes after my brother left and began to pleasure myself loudly where Darian could clearly hear me. Wow. Tiffany, I mean, wow. I've had women that come on to me before, but geez, like, you are not bullshitting. Like, you really want this dude. That's gotta be the sexiest shit I've ever heard. Good Lord. I'm not gonna lie, boy, if a woman did that to me, especially a woman that's as attractive as you are, I gotta take it down. I mean, I'm just being real. I gotta take it down. This is very interesting. I started to think he wouldn't come in, but as I got super into it, I heard 3 little taps on my door and in comes this sexy ass man. He says, "You know, I think you keep trying me." I responded with an answer that I felt would still make me innocent, you know, trying to keep him intrigued, but still keep my plausible deniability. I say, "Do you want me to try you?" He says, "I mean, it couldn't hurt, right?" There you go, Darian. There you go. Smart man. And he walks over to me, leans down with me laying flat on my back and kisses me. God, this man is so smooth. Damn near made me melt into my bed. Darian, you better have towed that ass up. Where was I? Okay, here we go. Well, needless to say, we got it in that night twice, and it was by far the best I ever had. Fucker, Darian, if you ever see this, there you go. Good job, my way to represent for the big boys. See, they need to understand that the big boys can throw it down too, right? Matter of fact, we do it better. Fuck they talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Darian. I kind of get a little bit too excited about another man getting some, but I'm just saying, I like to hear stuff like that. He put it down, put her down. Good shit. He touched places on my body that I didn't know existed. I made sounds that I didn't know I was capable of. When he went and got me a Gatorade and some Pringles afterwards, I was done. I wanted him again as soon as it was over. My brother arrived home about 45 minutes after we got back dressed. He walked into us talking on the couch, which was not out of the ordinary, and immediately started telling us how his date went. That was about 4 months ago, and in fact, the girl that Darian hooked him up with, Katrina, is now my brother's girlfriend. Well, in those same 4 months, Darian and I have been sneaking around and dating. I really like him, and I think he likes me too. We talk all night, every night. We go out all the time. I go spend the night with him whenever I can, and we mesh really well. I'm just afraid to tell him how I really feel about him. I have definitely fallen for this man. And what if he doesn't feel the same way about me? I definitely want to tell my brother. I feel like I violated his trust again. And as much as I want to pretend like I'm innocent and didn't make the first move, I'm 100% guilty. My worst fear is telling Darian how I feel and he doesn't feel the same. And then things get awkward and he stops coming around and my brother loses a best friend for a second time. He's gone from both of our lives and all because I broke a promise to the one person closest to me. What do I do? Do I tell Darian that I love him? Do I tell my brother that I'm dating his best friend? Help me. P.S. I just reread my email and realized how it sounds, LOL. I want to be clear that I've only slept with 4 guys in my life. I lost my virginity at 17 to my boyfriend that I dated since the 7th grade. He moved away for college and got a new girlfriend. I slept with Ethan, probably out of heartbreak, when I was about 20. And I then dated another guy for 3 years until about a year before Darian. And then slept with Darian's fine ass about 4 months ago. Don't want your viewers to think I'm a jump off, LOL. But seriously, what should I do? All right, Tiffany, here we go. Here's my advice. The first thing you should do is stop being so damn sneaky. It seems like you just like the thrill of sneaking around. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's what it seems like. Now, outside of that, I see absolutely nothing wrong with what's going on here, right? Number one, yeah, you slayed Ethan back in the day. And typically what happens in a situation like that is, you know, the friend of the brother understands what it is. You lucked out, you got a guy who was a virgin, and normally that happens, you know, when you lose your virginity to a girl, especially an attractive girl who's smart and got stuff going for themselves, you could probably get a little bit sprung. And it seems like that's what happened with Ethan. Now, I would have been honest with my brother up front with Ethan, and I probably would have told him like, yeah, look, I'm feeling your roommate, probably want to get at him, right? And I get it. You know what I mean? I see why you're so afraid, because all those years back when you and Ethan got down, you know, Ethan fell for you and you didn't have those same feelings for Ethan. And so now you fear that the situation is reversed, that you've now fallen for Darian and Darian doesn't have those same feelings for you. But Tiffany, here's the funny part, right? If Darian is the right kind of guy, and he definitely seems to be the right kind of guy, he's already had that conversation with your brother. He's already told your brother that he was feeling you long before you probably even realized it. In fact, I'm willing to bet that your brother and Darian set you up that night. I'm willing to bet that they both knew that you liked him and you wanted to probably spend some alone time with him. So they set it up to where your brother would have a date and you and Darian could chill by yourself. Now, I don't think your brother would set you up to get hammered, to get knocked down, but I can pretty much guarantee you that that's probably the case, right? And honestly, that's what you get for sneaking around so much. Probably trying to teach you a lesson. But let's just say that that's not the case. Let's just say that your brother doesn't know and Darian didn't tell him, which I really seriously doubt. Because, okay, listen to this. Your brother probably noticed that Darian is coming around a lot less, right? Your brother probably noticed that Darian is talking to him less when you're around. He's probably already noticed that whenever you're out of the house all night, that Darian's not there either, right? And so I can pretty much guarantee you that your brother already knows. And I'm pretty sure that Darian already had that conversation with your brother. But like I said, let's assume that that's not the case. I would go to my brother first, and I would tell my brother how I feel about his friend. Because number one, your brother could give you some advice on how to approach that situation. Being Darian's best friend, he could tell you, hey, take him out to a ball game, or take him out to dinner and tell him, or invite him over and I'll help you tell him something, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it sounds like you and your brother are close and like he has your best interest at heart. And salute to him for that. Also, real quick, salute to your parents. Salute to Mr. and Mrs. Tiffany's mom for setting you and your brother up for success. We need more of that in our community, right? Your mother and father taking care of you, helping you with your bills, helping you get your house set up and all that stuff so you and your brother can be successful. We need more of that. Quick story. I used to work for a very successful financial services company when I was a stockbroker. And my manager, the guy that was over me, was 6 years younger than me. At the time, I was 33 and he was 27, right? And he made more money than I did. I think he probably made somewhere around maybe 400 grand a year, 400 grand a year, at least 300. And he still lived at home with his parents, right? Not because he had to, but it's because his parents wanted to make sure that he was equipped for life before they let him go. They didn't charge him anything for rent. They didn't make him pay a bill. He drove the car that they bought until he got out and got his own. That man probably had at least $1 million in his savings before he moved out of his parents' house. Bought himself a real nice house, got engaged, got married, had a couple kids. Now he's running his own financial services firm. And it's because he didn't have all the worries that some of us have. You know what I mean? It's very hard to focus on schoolwork and being successful in education when you got to worry about paying your bills. It's very hard to be successful at work when you got to focus on how you're going to eat tonight, right? So if all those problems are alleviated or taken off of your plate, then you have a much greater chance to succeed. So shout out to your parents for doing everything that they can do to make sure that you and your brother are going to be successful. And I can pretty much guarantee that y'all will be. But back to the subject at hand. I would go sit down and talk to my brother because he can give you that advice. And don't be so worried because I'm a man, right? And I can guarantee you this. A man wouldn't spend time talking with you on the phone if he truly didn't like you. He wouldn't, let you spend the night and hang out with you every day and do all the things that you described if he really didn't like you. So I think you're worried about nothing. I think your fears come from that situation from years ago when you were much younger, and they're legit fears. But at the same time, you're older, your brother's older. Your brother probably realized that was an unreasonable request of you to make you promise not to date any more of his friends, because I work in sales, and in sales, they'll tell you that there's nothing greater than a referral, right? In any type of sales, a referral has the highest closing percentage, meaning, you have the best chance of selling someone who was referred to you. And that's exactly what a friend of a relative is. It's a referral, right? I got some friends that I would love for some of my cousins to date, right? I would love to hook them up with some of these guys. But then I got some friends that if I ever seen them with one of my cousins, it's on sight. I'm diving on them, right? Because I know what kind of guys they are. And if I truly have my friend's best interest at heart and my cousins or relatives' best interest at heart, then if I see them feeling each other and liking each other, and I know that they're both the right kind of people, then what problem do I have with that? And your brother probably was a little irritated because he probably had to kick Ethan's ass, but that was when y'all were younger. You know what I mean? He's probably forgotten all about that and realizes that was an unreasonable request to make. You know what I mean? We all know, you know what I'm saying? Like we all know a good guy when we see one. Women, y'all can go give another woman a compliment like that. Ooh, girl, your ass look good in them pants. Ooh, girl, I like the way that top makes your breasts do this and that. But a man, we can't say that to each other. I can't say, damn, bro, that dick print popping. You know what I mean? Like, that would sound crazy. But the way we give each other compliments is like, man, I bet that nigga got hoes. You know, excuse my language. Man, I bet he get a lot of pussy. You know what I mean? Something like that. So your brother know that Darian is a nice looking guy with something going for himself. And he know that he got a nice looking sister that, by your own admittance, a lot of his friends have tried to holler at. And I bet you he's glad that it's Darian that won you over. So my advice, stop being so scary. Go sit down, talk to your brother. After your brother gives you the advice on how to approach Darian, go talk to him. But I think you will be a little bit surprised to learn that they both already know. All right, so that's going to do it for us tonight from the KIDS podcast. As always, I appreciate y'all tuning in and chilling with me. That was a dope session, man. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that story. So shout out to Tiffany for that. Shout out to Darian for being a very decent guy. Shout out to Tiffany's brother. Shout out to her parents. Shout out to everybody in that story. Keep in mind, once again, if you want your story featured on the show, go ahead and send it in to kidspodcasttv@gmail.com. Once again, kidspodcasttv@gmail.com. I'm going to go ahead and bow out. Salute y'all again. Thank you.